guys, it's Ethan with Trackstar Motorworks. Today we have this beautiful 1992 Honda Civic Si on the dyno. This is absolutely one of my favorite vehicles because this is the same kind of vehicle that I got my start with, built my first motor, tuned my first setup way back. So I have a special kind of love for this particular car, and I'm excited to be tuning it for our good buddy Carlos, who's going to give you the rundown of the setup.
How's it going, guys? Carlos, it's a 92 SI. It's a B18C1 with the Precision 6262 ball bearing. Skunk 2 intake manifold, and has a M Factory LSD in it.
I'm going to do a couple passes of not full throttle right now. The boost level, I think straight gate is kind of high, because I remember we hit a cut on the street at like 14 pounds. So the car has already had some street tuning on it. He's been driving it, broke it in the motor and all that. So now we're just trying to actually use the power. It's been well used and everything seems to be working good. So just gotta proceed with caution.
Yeah, and you mentioned right now we're on small injectors.
Yeah, this will be kind of round one for this car. The injectors are what, 700 cc, whatever. So we're not going to get to a power number that the rest of this setup deserves quite yet, but we will get there soon enough. Did that at, that was 29% throttle that it did that 229 right now. Not that that's a lot of power, but
Still.
It's a good start.
Yeah.
It's definitely a good start.
Good.
Okay, so I now have both fuel tables very much smooth and evenly spaced. Had to then adjust the idle a bit, but once I kind of get the rough adjustments in, I like to grab the whole map and use the smooth tool, which gets you a nice pretty shape like this. And I'm not saying it needs to be pretty, but it sure helps if it does. If you can both make it pretty and fit the purpose, like that's even better. Started to get just a little bit leaner than I'd like to see out there. That still was not very much throttle. That was still like 30% throttle though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not gonna go take it all the way if I see something that I don't like, so.
All right, so the first few pulls were just tentative pulls. We should see a little more juice now. Or not.
Good until the VTEC crossover there.
Oh, okay.
And then it started to go a bit leaner than I want.
Yeah.
So
now you got to work on the VTEC crossover.
Yeah.
Okay.
So right now I just disabled VTEC because we did cross into VTEC on that last pull, but I didn't like what I saw. So in the effort of making sure that all the underlying is correct, and even if we change where the VTEC crossover is down the road, that I have the right information under there. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna turn VTEC off. And then we're going to make a run. I'm not going to go all the way out to, 8,000 RPMs, but we're going to tune it with VTEC off up until a significant 6,500 or something where we know we're not going to have VTEC that late. That way, if for some reason VTEC is to not work, we still have the correct information under there and we don't have an unsafe condition. Cut there. pretty street driven, this car, and I thought it was like good, but it's not doing good now. At least, I mean, we are getting up to substantial boost. We hit a 17-pound cut a moment ago, but yeah, it just keeps as I'm moving up. Even though injector pulse width is increasing, the AFR is driving up a little bit at that point. So I'm gonna do about one more big add, and then hopefully it's gonna start acting right there. On the dyno too. It hit a 19-pound boost cut right now with no boost control on. So what's the spring?
The stock one or the regular?
The wastegate spring.
The regular black one, the 10 pound. I got the rest of them.
Yeah, I guess I need to take a glance at the setup then.
Alright.
Okay.
That sounded a lot better.
No boost cut and a lot more throttle that time. That was like 70-something% throttle now. So yeah, doing a lot better. All right. Now we're getting somewhere. Here comes a pull.
That sounded like a clean pull.
Yep, out to 6,500 on the low cam only. Baseline 7 pounds of boost. So let's see what the shape looks like. I actually managed to make it to the end of the dyno right there. All right, we got our very first clean, complete dyno pull. Just a 6,500, just 7 pounds of boost. Had a boost control issue, vacuum routing that we sorted out, and it looks like we're at 200, right at 200 wheel horsepower on the low cam on 7 pounds.
Perfect.
Looking good. Now I'm ready to turn VTEC on, and then we'll start tanking the boost up. Okay, an important thing I want to highlight right now. Right now, like I said, we don't have VTEC, but I know that my low cam fueling is appropriate at 7 pounds and all the way out at 5,000, 6,000 RPM. So I'm going to look at that spot right now. So this is 7 pounds and 5,000 RPM. My number is 1292. Now I want to go into the VTEC fuel table and find that same spot and see what number I have there. So 1292 at 7 and 5. 7 and 5. So we have 1240. So we have less in our VTEC map than we do in our low cam. That's definitely not correct. You can start out with the guess that the VTEC map will take at least 5, 10, 15% more fuel than the low cam map. So I'm gonna start, before I even turn VTEC on right now, I'm gonna make all my numbers in the high cam map be higher than the numbers I have in the low cam map. And then I know that I'm at least landing at a higher pulse width, a higher duty cycle, that I know that the cam switchover is gonna mandate, we need more fuel because there's more air coming in suddenly.
All right, so we're gonna get into VTEC for the first time on this pull.
My previous point, I added 10% there, and that wasn't enough. So I'm gonna bump it another 5, maybe even another 10%. So in this case, it looks like 20% might be the bump that it wants, because the VE changes that much. He does have a lot of the nice intake manifold, the throttle body, the manifold, and the turbo. All of his parts stress high RPM power. So it makes sense that we're having to add in more and more. I'm going to do that now, and then hopefully we can make a complete through VTEC pass. that was right on the borderline of concern. We were still in the 11s, but it looked like it was going up, so I decided to stop it. I'll add in just a little bit more. It looks like I need to smooth it in though now, because now I'm getting a pretty big jump in VTEC. So I'm going to increase the low cam leading up to it, and actually come over here and I'll show you on the log what I mean. So the red line up top here is our injector pulse width, and then the blue line is the VTEC crossover. As you can see, we get a significant jump. We're at 7.54 and then immediately 8.447. So almost 1 millisecond jump right there. So I'm going to add in a little fuel right in this area so that we get a nice smooth shape there as we cross over. Into VTEC and actually out to my quite early rev limiter. I think I have it set at 75 or something right now. But
yeah, that's good news.
We made a clean pull there. Finally got our base now.
Sounded nice.
Oh, nice. We actually hit 9 pounds of boost now. 342 horsepower on 9 pounds. That's 342 on 9 pounds right now. Really? Yeah.
That's great.
I like it.
Dyno, you can't bring me the ball right now, baby. Sounded spicy there.
Okay, so we just finished with a 10 psi run, clean out to I think 8200 rev limiter right now, and I just want to highlight in the shape. So here we have like VTEC crossover, full boost, and then we got this little curl down here. It's not even going down, but it's just a less aggressive angle. This is where my timing starts to get a little lazy because we've just been on the build up right now. I'll probably leave it lazy for the moment as I'm going to be escalating boost. But when I'm done, I look at that spot and I think, okay, it looks like probably at that 6,000 RPM area, I need to bring in some more timing. Because on a setup like this, that's a high revving, small displacement, pretty big turbo. Like I said earlier, all of his mods kind of favor high-end power. We should pretty much have a just straight line all the way out, and maybe even getting, you know, steeper and steeper as boost level is increasing.
Yeah.
So you kind of, there's certain trends that you have to know for certain kinds of motors, and can help, you know, aid the tuning process or.
Go.
11 pounds of boost. The car is having a wild AFR swing based on right after a run right now. It's going really rich right after the run compared to, like, it's idling at 13, a high 13, mid 13 prior, and then after the run it was down to like an 11.1, and now as I let it sit, it's coming back up now, 12.8, 13.0 now. I need to do some looking into that. There's something odd trim wise going on, fueling. I don't really see it in the big end, but I'm definitely seeing it down at the very low pulse width area.
Yeah.
Okay, so we did just hit a significant duty cycle. We're at 83% duty cycle on that run out at 8,000 RPMs. We're only at 11 pounds, and we'd like to go a bit more on the boost. So to get a little bit more headroom with the duty cycle, we're increasing the fuel pressure right now. It was at 42. It's now going to be at 52 PSI. and we hopefully will get a little headroom bump and extra room to afford some more boost, so we can get some more power out of it right now.
There we go. That's more we were looking for.
12.4 psi.
Okay.
Pretty good. I think I'm ready to do a spark plug check right now.
Okay.
Let's see what the shape of that dyno plot though was. All right. Yep. Look how it's gotten steeper. Started filling in there, and now of course we're revving higher. So we're getting that. Man, it looks like it wants to rev to the moon, dude. It looks like if we rev to 10, it will make power all the way to 10. I won't do
10?
that.
Did you say 10,000?
I won't do that.
No.
Like we could.
So what realistically are you going to set the rev limiter to on
So
this?
I like 8,800 as a peak for a car that's maybe a weekend car or something like that. If it's driven daily, I like 8,500 or so.
Yeah.
With the SuperTech setup, is my favorite valve spring setup for sure. And I mean, if you get it right, it's nicer to have a rev limiter that you can bounce off of carelessly than have one that's so high that you don't want to be bouncing up there. It is when bad things are much more likely to happen. So the higher you rev, the more that you need to have. All the tune has got to be perfect. All the other P's and Q's got to be minded.
Okay, about the same.
We had a little bit overage of fuel now.
Yeah.
Because we increased the fuel pressure again. Hoping that now I can remove some duty cycle and get down to a little bit more comfortable of let's see what we hit right there. So now we're at 88% duty cycle, but the mixture was too rich. So I'm gonna remove some duty, and hopefully like I said, we'll hopefully be in a happy mid 80% duty cycle. Still rich everywhere now, so I'm gonna trim some more out. Let's see what our duty cycle dropped to as a result of that fuel pressure bump. Yeah, 86% duty cycle now, so I feel much more comfortable with that versus we were headed for a 96, 99% duty cycle, so a lot better place to be sitting at. Probably need to take a look at the spark plugs here in a moment and see if we have room for more timing or how we're looking there. Next thing I want to talk about for just a moment is where peak torque happens and where does my timing dip. So what I found a moment ago was that my peak torque dip built into the map was maybe 500 RPMs off of where peak torque was actually occurring in the car. So I consulted closely with the dyno plot, which we saw peak torque at about 5,500. My lowest timing was at like 5,100 here. So I just went in right now and kind of massaged the map in this area to make sure my lowest timing is happening at my peak torque. We have stock sleeves, and we have, and we have too small of injector, and we're not trying to get every last bit right. Trying to keep it safe, so we can, down the road, we can do major power here. So it's important to note where your peak torque happens in relation to, like, once you've changed a bunch of parts on the motor, peak torque is going to happen at a very different spot. So if you start with a stock tune, that timing depression that's naturally there for every car, it may not be in the right place. So you want to make sure that your depression is in the right spot that will make the car safer, And if you have it in the wrong spot, then it can cost you power that you don't need to be throwing away.
Hey, there we go.
I got you.
Just need 3 more, bro.
We're still a little bit rich. There was still some 10-0 in that run right there. So I'm going to take away another like 2% fuel, and then we should be at our money.
We smashed it.
Oops. That was just trimming out some extra fuel, man, and it still has a couple spots there. It goes a little bit richer than I'd like, but we ended in that top couple thousand window. It was exactly where I'd like it to be. So I have a little bit more refinement to do on it. I have some street refinement to do for sure, because I see a couple little spots where it's way too rich in the non-boost area. But I always take the car off the dyno, go drive it on the street, cruise it for a moment, take it for one rip, make sure it's going to do what it's supposed to do for the customer. All right, so we just finished our final pull with the Civic for our first session. We are going to have a session 2. The injectors were our limiting factor here. Everything else is very much overbuilt aside from those. So these 750s kind of capped us out. I think we entered at 13 something pounds, 430 horsepower. Check out the plot. Pulling up all the way out to the limiter. That is what it's supposed to look like right there. This is going to be a very fun car with that feeling of continued acceleration all the way out. You're not even going to want to shift at that 8500 right now. But if we revved it out further, it would make even more horsepower, maybe another 30 horsepower easily if we wanted to. But like I said earlier, I like to leave it at a place where I feel comfortable just bouncing off that rev limiter all the time. Definitely that's necessary for drift cars. It's also necessary for front wheel drives that end up just pegging off of there when the tires go up in smoke.
What are y'all doing?
Sure.
Good girl, Dyno. Good girl, Dyno.
You're taller than me, but I can stand up to your face.
You can buy pre-wired or pre-safety wire.